So apparently, the country of Japan is dealing with declining birth rates, and their suggestion for how to, overcome that is to make marriage illegal for women after the age of 25, and then have forced uterus removals for women after the age of 30. So I'm going to speak on this as a 28-year-old woman who does not have any children. So I'm going to speak on this from the perspective of an American because I am American, not Japanese, right? So some of these things will not apply to Japan, but the point that I'm making is this. Y'all can ask women what the problem is, why we're not willing to have children, and then you can fix the actual problems instead of saying, well, forget about it. We just going to force you to have kids anyway. Like what? So let me tell you something, okay? Because America is dealing with all of this Roe versus Wade stuff, women's rights to abortion, so and so and so, yada, 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 right? And it's all boiling down to the fact that maybe these women don't want these kids. Clearly, if they trying to get an abortion, right? And let's get into why, though. Let's get into why. And let's talk about right now in this moment in time in 2024. So let's get into the many issues that I see with pregnancy and raising kids in today's society and economy and whatever, okay? So first of all, I don't know about y'all, but I do not want to have to work when I'm pregnant. And let's be realistic. That's not very realistic, and we're going to get into why, right? So I'm sure a lot of women don't want to work when they are pregnant. I cannot even begin to imagine how uncomfortable being pregnant must be. Like, y'all, I take off work when I'm on my period. I don't even play about that. So being pregnant, come on now, right? So let's say right now I'm pregnant, right? And I say, well, you know what? I'm going to quit my job because, I don't want to have to work. I want to focus on doing what's best for me and the baby, yada, 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 right? Well, the reality is I get my health insurance through my job, right? Because in America, we don't have universal health care, right? So if I quit my job, I don't have health insurance. So realistically speaking, I don't have that option, right? Now, let's say in this scenario, I'm married, right? Because, most of us are striving to be married before we have a child. Say I have a husband. Well, again, realistically, most people aren't making enough money to support just themselves, much less another person and a baby. So let's get back to reality. Here I am pregnant, right? And I'm going to have to work throughout my entire pregnancy, okay? Now, I have a friend, and this is the reality. This is what is realistic for most women in the United States, right? She works in the hospital. She works in sterile processing or something. So the people who clean the surgical instruments and sterilize them and all of that, right? She worked up until she went into labor with both of her children. I am not joking, right? So she went into labor while she was at work, and then she just went on up to the labor and delivery department. I am not even joking, right? The reality is that most women in the United States are forced to do that, right? Because in the U.S., we only get 6 weeks of maternity leave. And I think that might not even be a guarantee. I don't even know if that's a guarantee. But the reality, again, is this. You get 6 weeks. So you can figure it out how you want to. Maybe you want to take a week off before labor and then 5 weeks after with the baby. But, most women, they want to spend as much time recovering from labor and bonding with their baby as possible. So they work right up until they go into labor and they save those 6 weeks. And then this is my other thing, y'all. This is my other thing. 6 weeks with your baby before you have to go back to work? What kind of crap is that? Like, that's inhumane. First of all, your baby needs his mommy. Second of all, you probably haven't even healed from giving labor, depending on how traumatic your labor was. First of all, even if your labor wasn't traumatic, the fact that your coochie stretches wide as it has to stretch to have a baby, it's going to take time for your insides to, reorient themselves, okay? It's going to take time for your body to heal, even if you had a smooth sailing sort of labor, right? So imagine all of the women who have serious complications, who need to be stitched up, who almost bleed out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got to get back to work in 6 weeks? Like, what? So let's go ahead. Let's fast forward 6 weeks. Now it's time for me to go back to work. Now I'm going back to work, even though I have not physically recovered. Okay. I have not mentally recovered because I just heard a new term, the fourth trimester, right? That's the first couple of months where your baby is there and, there's a lot of stuff going on. And they said that it takes maybe almost a year for women to get through postpartum depression and stuff. You going through all types of stuff. And guess what? Who cares? It's time to get back to work. So now you got a newborn baby. You can't even sleep through the night. Your body hasn't healed physically or mentally. And you got to go back to work. Are you serious? And I'm sorry, but why would I sign up for this? This shit sounds terrible. Now, let's go ahead. Let's look at the cost of living, okay? Because I'll tell you this, I live by myself, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm rich or nothing, but I'll say I got a good job. It pays me enough money for me to be able to pay my bills, live in a nice enough place, have a nice car, go on vacations and stuff on a regular basis, right? And I will tell you this, the cost of living, come on now. Every time I go to the grocery store, and I'm only shopping for me, and somebody's about to throw the joke, oh, well, you're fat, you must be buying a lot of stuff. Hee hee ha ha. Anyway, so, bro, every time I go to the grocery store, it's ridiculous. And I just be thinking, how are people raising families in this economy? And I guess maybe y'all got EBT or something, but it's hard out here for a pimp, for real. So imagine you go back to work because, the bills got to get paid, right? But now you and your husband, not only do y'all have to support just yourselves, now you have to buy diapers, wipes, you might have to buy formula if your baby needs that. And formula's mad expensive, right? And then let's get into the reality of being a woman and, having a family, right? The reality is women do most of the child rearing, most of the, home, whatever, right? Home building, whatever you want to call it, okay? So as a woman, your life has just drastically changed, whereas your husband's didn't really change that much under most circumstances. And I know there are going to be some people in the comments what, that don't apply to us. I'm a dad and I split up the baby's responsibilities 50-50. That's awesome. I love that for the people who do that. But the reality is most people aren't doing that. Most of the responsibility falls on the woman. So now you working full time. You also the one who's taking care of 90% of the baby's needs. You still trying to recover physically, mentally, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is honestly not sounding no better. We're going to stop the analysis there because I'm not even going to get into the fact that the education system is failing. And somebody who has worked in the education system for years, oh, baby, I wouldn't even want to send my kids to school with these kids. Oh my goodness, y'all. So that's a whole nother thing. You gonna have to homeschool them kids or something if you want to give them a fighting chance because the education system falling off the bone in the worst way possible, okay? But we're not even going to get into any of that. We're just going to stop our analysis right here, okay? Reality check. I will be honest with you, that does not sound enticing. Now, of course, that's not everybody's situation. Because, on the internet, everybody lives the best life. So the comments are going to be full of people like Flower Tower. I'm a dad and I take care of most of the kids' needs. And actually, I'm rich. So my wife, she didn't have to work at all while she was pregnant. Okay, that's cool. That's cute. But we're going to step into reality. We're going to, look at what real people are going through around us. And the reality is, motherhood is not really beneficial to women. It really, the majority of the work that must be done falls on you in addition to all your other responsibilities because you still got to go to work full time. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good setup. I'm sorry to say this, but just as a woman, it's something you might want to plan against. How about instead of telling women you gonna remove their uteruses at 30? First of all, goofball, you sit here talking about, the birth rates are declining. Your logical next step is, let's remove women's uteruses. That'll give us more babies. Are you fucking dumb? And then it's crazy because the way women are set up, we damn near might be go ahead, bitch. Take all of our uteruses, bitch. What's the plural of uterus? Uteri? Uteruses? I don't know. Take them, bitch. And then let's see what happens to your birth rate with your goofy ass.